and welcome back for episode number 86 of the weekly playback. Thank you for coming back to my channel. I know that some people may not be coming back after my last video, and that is perfectly fine. So I only played a couple of games in the last week, which I guess is a good thing because I will again be addressing current events. So as always, you are free to skip that portion of this video if you are not interested in it. But I do hope that you will give it a listen because I do think that the perspective that I am sharing is not the perspective that you are getting from mainstream media. So I do think it's important to open your eyes to what is going on. But again, if that doesn't interest you, feel free to skip. But first, let's talk about the games that I played in the last week. Let's talk about Sea Dragons. So this is a 2023 game for 2 to 5 players, designed by Yaniv Kahana, Simone Luciani, and Pini Schechter. The art is done by my favorite board game artist, Weberson Santiago, and it is published by Fractal Juegos and Wonderbow Games. So this is not a review copy. This is a game that I purchased at Essen. So this game is it's an abstract strategy game with also area majority going on, and you are also trying to fulfill various contracts. So in this game, which is for 2 to 5 players, you have a variety of different dragon components in different colors. However, this game kind of dictates which colors you can play at different player counts because they did not provide enough dragon heads and body parts in all of the colors so that you can choose, for example, in a 2-player game. So just looking at the rule book, I can basically tell you which colors you can play at different player counts. So at a 2-player game, you can only play as orange and green, which is quite unfortunate. I know I'm wearing orange today, but that's because, Halloween is coming up. But if there's purple, I would always rather play as purple. But unfortunately, the purple bag would not have enough pieces for you to play with if you were playing at a 2-player count. If you're playing at a 3-player count, then you can play orange, green, or purple. At 4 players, you can play orange, green, purple, and pink. And at 5 players, you can play orange, green, purple, pink, and yellow. So I played a 5-player game of this. So we played with all the colors. So I did get to be purple. But yeah, it is unfortunate that if I want to play this game as purple, I will need to play at a 3-player count. I really wonder how much money that saved them in the long run that they had to do it that way. Who really knows? So you're going to have one big board, which is comprised of 4 different quadrants, and I will throw up a picture here. And you will see on this board that you have some coral spaces, some money spaces, some whirlpools, and when the board is put together, you are going to see a current, which is in the center, composed of those half squares each. And you are also going to see these pirate flags, which will be covered with pirate tokens, with these ship tokens in a variety of different colors. And those will be face up, so you know which kinds of ship tokens you are trying to get. So everyone, in a 5-player game is going to have 7 dragon heads, and you start the game with 2 medium cards. So there are cards in 3 different types of cards. There are these medium cards, which are blue. I think the medium ones are blue. Yes, and the harder ones are green, the more difficult ones. And then the easier ones are these red ones. So you start with 2 medium cards, and there's going to be a market of face-up cards, 2 of each color at all times. There is going to be a couple of these mission cards face up for you to try to complete by turning in the required ship tokens in those colors, and then you will score the points on the bottom of the card at the end of the game if you completed these missions on your turn. And then there are these face down coral cards, which will give you either like ship tokens that you can use to complete mission cards, money that you can have, and I'll explain why you need money in a bit. So yeah, or it will even give you hidden dragons to try to meet the area majority component when it comes to end game scoring. So on your turn, what you can do is you can either play a pattern card from your hand, or you can complete or you can pass. So when you decide to play a pattern card, you put down the pattern card and then you add the dragon to the board. Now, there are rules for adding dragons. You can never place a dragon adjacent to your own dragon, and a dragon you place must be adjacent, orthogonally adjacent to either the center island, again, you can look at the picture, or a dragon of someone else's color. Now, when you place a dragon, you don't unless you cover money spots. However, the other players who you placed your dragon adjacent to will get 1 coin for each connection you've made. So if someone else had 2 dragons and you placed a new dragon adjacent to 2 of their dragons, they will get 2 coins then. If you cover a whirlpool spot, or again the current spaces, you need to pay 2 coins for each of those spaces that you have covered. So that's where money comes into play. So after you play a pattern card, then you can complete a mission card, which is optional. So if you have the pirate ship tokens that you need, and you see that there's a mission card you can complete, you can take that mission card. And then you draw a pattern card, and when you draw a pattern card, you can draw it from whatever is face up or from a pile, but it has to be of a different color than the pattern card you just played. So that is a turn, but if for some reason you cannot place a dragon because you know the board is getting filled up and the pattern cards you have in your hand do not allow you to place a dragon somewhere, then you can skip, which means you have to discard a dragon head, and you will get to take 2 coins, and you will also get to draw a new pattern card, I believe. Yeah, so you will exchange 1 pattern card from your hand with 1 available near the main board. So that is what happens when you pass. The game end will be triggered once all players have placed or gotten rid of their dragon heads, and then you will go to game end scoring. So at game end, you are going to get 1 point for each remaining gold coin and in your hand, 1 point for each remaining ship token in your hand in case you did not fulfill any mission cards with them. Also coral reef cards, those cards we talked about. If you didn't use a coral reef card, then you will get the points for, so for example, if you didn't use this coral reef card that has ship tokens on it, you will get 1 point for this as well. You will get victory points for the missions you completed, which I showed you earlier. So if you completed any missions on your turn, you will get points for those. And then you will get points for majorities. So, before that, get to that. So if you were the person who completed the most missions, which I was, you will also get an additional 5 points. If there is a tie, then it goes to the person who got the most victory points from all of the missions they completed, which again was me. And then you're going to go to victory points in each sea realm. So there are 4 quadrants in the board, and you are going to see who has the majorities in those quadrants. So whoever has the most dragons in each quadrant will get an additional 3 points for each uncovered whirlpool. So as I mentioned before, you can cover these whirlpools, but you need to pay 2 coins if you are covering them with a dragon head or a dragon body part. But at the end of the game, all the uncovered whirlpools will be worth 3 points for whoever has the most dragons in that quadrant. If there is a tie, then the player with the the player with the second most dragons will get half of those victory points rounded down. So they will get half of what the winner got rounded down. In the event of a tie for first or second place, the number of dragon tokens, heads and bodies in that sea realm of each of the players who are tied will be counted. In this case, hidden dragons, which you got from coral cards, are not counted. So hidden dragons basically count as an extra dragon in a quadrant. So let me just show you an example. So for example, this would count as an extra dragon in the southern quadrant. So in the case of a tie, you will count the body parts, and then whoever has the most dragon tokens in total would win. So in the 5-player game I played, I won in terms of completed missions. So I had the most points from completed missions. I had 49 points, whereas other players had 23, 27, 30, and 25. And then I also got 5 points for being the person with the most completed missions. However, I had 0 majorities in any of the quadrants, and in the end, I came in 3rd place. So I do think it is important, in order for you to win, to get those dragon majorities in the quadrants. The person who won with 80 points, he had 23 in completed missions, but he won 2 of the quadrants and came in second for 1 of the quadrants. So he ended the game with 80 points. I had 65 points. Someone else had 67 points. So I came in third. And then the other 2 scores were 55 and 57. So I do think it is one of those games where, you know, you really need to be mindful of, you know, of where you're placing your dragons, and maybe not going after the ship tokens as much, because those, I guess, in the end will be less important than the majorities. But you know, who knows? I think it's a really fun game. I really liked it, and I would totally play this again. So I am glad I added it to my collection. So if you enjoy abstract strategy games, which of course are really colorful, this is just so colorful and so pretty. It just, like, you know, just really pops. Yeah, so if you like games like that, then I definitely think you will enjoy Sea Dragons, so you should check it out. So yeah, so let's move on. Let's talk about Faraway, and do keep in mind that Faraway is one word. This is a 2023 game for 2 to 6 players designed by Johannes Gupi and Corentin Lebrat, and the art is done by Maxime Morin, and it is published by Catch Up Games. This is not a review copy. This is a game that I purchased at Essen. So this is a really interesting game. So this is a open drafting contracts game in which you also have simultaneous action selection. So each person, so you are basically in a mysterious continent with ever-changing geography. And you are basically roaming across the land in search of its secrets, and you're trying to meet its inhabitants and list its wonders in order to gain more fame than your opponent. So whoever has the most fame at the end of this game will win. So you are going to have these region cards. So let me just show you the region cards, or some of them. There's a lot of them. So here are examples of region cards, and they come in different colors. As you can see, they have different numbers in the corner, which will be relevant as well. Different, how they score is different prerequisites perhaps for scoring, and some of them will offer you a sanctuary card if you qualify for a sanctuary, and I'll get into all of that in a bit. And some of them provide symbols that you will need in order to score different cards. So I will get into all of that in a minute, and let me just show you some examples of sanctuary cards. So here are some examples of sanctuary cards. Like, some of them just straight up provide symbols and colors like blue. Some of them are neutral, for example this one, so they won't qualify for any completed color scoring objectives, but it will give you a scoring objective in itself. So this one, for example, will give you 2 points for each pineapple you have, or fern, I think it is. So yeah, so there's different kinds of sanctuary cards as well, which may give you different symbols or allow you to score points and qualify for different scoring cards as well, based on their colors. So you are going to start the game with 3 of these region cards in your hand. Of course, you're going to shuffle all of them and then deal 3 to each player. And then you're going to have a market that has cards for every player +1. So everyone is going to play a card at the same time. So you're going to put it face down and then reveal at the same time. When you play cards in front of you, you are playing them from left to right. But when you score, you are scoring from right to left. That is very important. So you are going to reveal your cards, and then whoever has the lowest number card will get to select a card from the market first to add to their hand, which will then be available to play in subsequent rounds. So that is where these numbers come into play. Furthermore, after the first round, if you have played a card that is higher in number than the card that you previously played, you will qualify to get a sanctuary card. That basically qualifies you to get a sanctuary, and then for each of these symbols you have visible in your sanctuary or in your whole landscape, which includes your region cards plus your sanctuary cards, you will get to draw an extra sanctuary card. But first you need to qualify before you can get your bonus sanctuary cards because of that special symbol. So again, you only qualify if you played a card in that round that was a higher number than the card that you previously played. Again, some of these cards will show you symbols on them showing that they will not score unless you have all of those symbols met. So for example, this card will be worth 12 points at the end of the game, but only if it's scoring you have those symbols visible. And that's where the tricky part comes in, because when you score, you are scoring from right to left, even though you are playing your cards from left to right. So at the end of the game, you're going to turn over all of the cards in your realm and then reveal them one by one, starting with the rightmost card. And when you score a card, you only score that card. So for example, let's suppose this was the card that I had on the rightmost of my realm. So this was the last card I played, so the 8th card I played. If I do not have those symbols, because obviously this is the only card visible right now in my realm, however, all my sanctuary cards are face up. So again, the sanctuary cards are these smaller cards. So in order for me to score 12 points, I would need 2 crystals and a pineapple visible in my sanctuary cards, because right now this is the only visible card because it's the rightmost card. However, now let's suppose, let me see if I can find cards that will give a good example to illustrate. Okay, here we go. Let's suppose I had, okay, here we go. Now let's suppose instead that, you know, this was the rightmost card, then this was the second card, this was the 3rd card to be scored, and this is the 4th card to be scored. Now I could score 12 points if this is the 4th card to be flipped over and scored, because I have a pineapple here, a crystal here, and another crystal here. However, this one wouldn't have scored, because if this was the first one revealed, if I did not have 2 pineapples and capybara, whatever the hell that, chimera visible in my sanctuary card, then this would not have scored. So you kind of see how that works. Like when you're playing cards, you want to try to play the cards that have these requirements at the beginning of your, at the beginning of the game, like in the first couple of rounds, because when you're revealing cards starting from the right, that is when more and more symbols are going to start to appear. Unless, of course, you have all these symbols in your sanctuary cards. So if you somehow manage to get lucky and have sanctuary cards that had all of the symbols you needed, then great. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit tricky for you to get points from your cards, since they do reveal from right to left. It is a really cool game in that respect. Yeah, so it's a bit tricky. I definitely want to play this again. I played a 5-player game of this, which was really great. Yeah, the artwork is absolutely fantastic. Let me just show you some of the artwork. So like, for example, this card would score if you have all 4 of these colors visible by the time that this is flipped over. So again, if this is the first card you're flipping over, if this was the last card you ever played, meaning it's the first card you are going to score, then chances are you're not going to score it unless you have all of these colors visible in your sanctuary, which will be face up at all times. So yeah, so that is why it's interesting, because also the higher numbered cards give you the better points. Like, so for example, number 68 will give you 24 points if you have 5 crystals visible. So you could play this early on, but then the chances are you're not going to get to collect a sanctuary card after the next card you play, because the next card you play is probably not going to be a higher number than 68. So, the higher numbered cards give you more points, but, if you play them early on, you're not going to be able to collect those sanctuary cards, which may allow you to get the symbols and colors you need to qualify for some of the points you want. So for example, this is a sanctuary card. If you manage to get this, it is a yellow card in itself, so it would qualify for those yellow, those scoring conditions which say that you need yellow cards, and this in itself would also score 1 point for each yellow you have. So again, there are different kinds of sanctuary cards, some which give you symbols, some which allow you to score, and so on. So for me, in my game, let's go over what we had. So, just to kind of show you how the scoring worked, For the first card revealed, only 2 of the 5 players were able to score their first card. For the second card revealed, only 2 of the 5 players were able to score their second card. For the third card revealed, 4 of the 5 players were able to score that card. And then for the fourth card revealed, 4 of the 5 players were able to score it. In fact, only one row, the 6th card, so only the 6th card was a card that every player was able to score. So for all the cards revealed, there was at least one player each time who could not score their card. And then in the end, you also get points for your sanctuary. So you look at your sanctuary cards in case any of them give you points, and then you get points from those. So the winner, he started scoring points later on, and then I actually ended up getting a good amount of points for my sanctuary, 25 points from my sanctuary, but I came in second place. The winner had 70 points, I had 58, then 53, 43, and 39. So yeah, so definitely want to play this again. I thought it was a really cool game, like super cool concept, like, having these cards in your hand, trying to balance between getting sanctuary cards and trying to figure out, what you need to play in order to hopefully score it when it reveals, but now that we've played it once, we definitely have a better grasp on how scoring will work and maybe how to play cards. So I definitely want to play this again, like so badly. Like I really want to, now focus less on getting sanctuary cards and trying to create a realm in which all my cards will hopefully score. Like I really want to try that. There is some kind of a bug in my room, so that is what has my attention right now. Ooh, it's a moth. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is a moth that put a hole in my sweater because I had some clothes line drying in this room after washing them, and a sweater that did not previously have a hole in it, then all of a sudden has a hole in it. So thank you, Mr. Moth, for ruining my sweater. So yeah, so I will have to remove him in a bit. So super amazing game. Highly recommend it if you can get your hands on it. I picked this up at Essen. I do not know if it's available in America yet, but if it is, super, super duper recommend. And of course, it's a small box and offers really good gameplay, really good thinky gameplay, and the artwork is just amazing. So definitely check out Faraway. At least I think you should. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Nekojima. Now, this is a 2023 game for 1 to 5 players designed by David Carmona and Karen Yoon, and the art is done by Gilly Swarmos and is published by Unfriendly Games. This is not a review copy. This is a game that I picked up at Essen, that I purchased at Essen. So this is a game that was on Kickstarter, and it really caught my interest when it was on Kickstarter, but in the end I did not back it because I typically am not a fan of dexterity games. Like typically I'm just not into them. I'm very klutzy. I'm always injuring myself. And dexterity games I feel like would stress me out and stuff like that. And I just would rather play strategy games. But people in the group that I was with, so I worked for Dronda Games when I was at Essen, and when I arrived at the hall on Wednesday night, so I had the option, the ability to purchase some games before the convention opened up to the public on Thursday. So I went there Wednesday night, and I actually purchased this on Wednesday night, and I'm really glad I did. So the people in my group were saying how much fun it was that they had purchased it already the night before and played it and had so much fun. And I am so glad that I did it. So I played a 5-player game of this, and oh my god, we had so much fun playing it. So you can play this in either cooperative or competitive mode. So you are going to have this board, the city board, which is really nice. I think this is plastic, and on the top it feels like maybe cardboard has been glued on, or maybe that's a sticker, I don't know. But you have 4 different city districts, and then you're going to have these, they're called denshu. So you'll have these denshu in different colors. So you've got pink, white, and teal, and the different colors are of different lengths. So for example, the pink ones, I believe, are the shortest in terms of the actual rope length, whereas the teal or the white ones were the longest, I believe. I cannot remember. Let's see. So you have these different denshu in different colors, and different lengths of poles as well. So some of them are going to be in different lengths. So for example, here's a teal one, and that one is very long, as you can see. So there are, so this is how the game plays. So basically on your turn, you are going to roll these 2 dice. And these dice will tell you in which districts you need to place your denchu. So when you roll them, if it shows you this and this, that means one end of a denchu needs to be placed in blue and one end needs to be placed in red. However, if you roll black, that means that the player to your right will get to determine where one of the denchu sticks is supposed to be placed. And then of course there's wild, where you can choose where it's supposed to be placed. To determine which color denchu you place, you're going to draw a cube from this bag. So for example, if I drew a teal cube, that means I have to select a teal denchu. If I drew a black cube, then I would draw another cube until I actually end up picking up one of the denchu colors. The black cube, however, means that I will get to place a cat. So in a cooperative game, you will place the cat yourself. In competitive, if you draw a black cube, you give the cube to someone else and they will place the cat on their turn. So in cooperative, you are just trying to see what level you can reach. So anytime you pick a denchu and place a cube or a denchu or a cat, you are then going to place the cubes into these level slots. And you are just seeing how far you can go before the whole thing collapses. In competitive, it's the player who causes it to collapse that loses and everyone else will win, basically. There are some different modes which use like these egg tokens, which will restrict how high you can stack certain things, certain denchus, but we did not play with those. So you have these different cats which you'll be hanging on the ropes as well when you draw the black cubes. Oh my god, it was so much fun. So we played 3 games of it. We played 2 cooperative games and 1 competitive game, and I caused the denchu to collapse in one of the cooperative games and in the competitive game as well. So like I said, I'm very, very klutzy, and yeah, it was making me very nervous placing stuff, and yeah, just it was super fun. Like, we just had so much fun playing it. I am going to post one of the videos I took of us playing it on Instagram later, probably, in case anyone wants to check that out, because it was just so much fun and we were just having a blast while playing it. So I'm really glad that, my Drawn to Games group convinced me in the end to pick this up. So yeah, so super glad I managed to get this. I believe, I'm not sure if it's delivered yet from the Kickstarter, but some of the people I was playing with on Friday night were, wanted to purchase this game, and it's not yet available to purchase in the US. So hopefully it'll become available soon, because it is super fun. So even if you're someone who doesn't like dexterity games, typically like me, like I still had so much fun playing this, and I can totally see myself playing this again. So yeah, it's just a really fun game. It's not like a strategy game, but it's just a lot of fun. So yeah, and people were very curious about what we were playing. Like we played this at the game store, and people who were also playing games that night were like coming by and asking us what we were playing, because also I think they must have heard us like laughing a lot and just having a lot of fun. So yeah, so highly recommend Nekojima, even if you are not into dexterity games. So let's move on. So let's go into the games that I am backing. So a new one that I'm backing is Wondrous Creatures at $1 in order to get my production copy of this game, like my deluxe production copy. And oh my god, if you watched my video on Wondrous Creatures before, you will know how much I love this game. Of course, I was paid to do an overview video for it, but honestly, I think it is such an amazing game, and if you like Everdell, then you will definitely love Wondrous Creatures. Like, out of all of their games, this is the one that I am most looking forward to getting. I will say that I'm not happy with the picture they put of me. I didn't know that they were going to extract a quote from my weekly playback video in which I discussed this game, but they did, and then they took a screenshot of me and they used this screenshot image, and it's just not very flattering at all. But the quote they extracted from my weekly playback video is, "This is a super great game. I loved it so freaking much." So, if I had known that they wanted a quote, I might have given them more of a nicer quote, like one that I could actually craft that would, maybe talk a little bit about why I love it so freaking much. But, they just extracted that quote from the weekly playback video. So, but it's true, it is a super great game and I do love it so freaking much. But I would have also liked to have provided them with that nice picture to use instead of the screenshot that they used. But yeah, so this game, I funded in like 40 some minutes. Right now, they have 1,313 backers, and they've raised $104,000 so far, and it has 16 days to go. You know, even Rado has given it really positive reviews. So Rado's quote, let me see what he said. I think he and another content creator played it together. But let me just go down to theirs. So yeah, theirs is, this is such an amazing idea. This new approach to worker placement, double space workers, yes, multi-use functions. I'm over the moon with this. Highly agree, like strongly agree. Yes, amazing game, highly recommended. If you love worker placement games, you love games with cute animals and creatures and yeah, and tableau building, like fantastic game. And I do think it's better than Everdell, if I had to say so myself. So I'm backing that to get my production copy of it, because I always have in my contract when I do overview videos that I get a deluxe complimentary production copy as part of the deal, which is why I also keep my rates a bit lower than everyone else. So that I can get the game. So that is one thing that I'm backing. So that is the new thing that I'm backing. Otherwise, all the stuff I mentioned previously, I'm still backing Shrooms, which is still not funding, which makes me very sad. Oh, actually, there is something new I'm backing, which I'll get to in a minute. So Shrooms, the game of mycology, the collection new and upgraded. Still backing it. It's still not funding, and I honestly do not think it's going to fund. It has 21 days left, and it's only got 56 backers. It's raised $5,454 of the $48,365 needed. So very like big goal, big funding goal that I do not think that they are going to meet. You know, based on, you know, things like based on what you can see from other Kickstarter campaigns, like, you know, getting that push in the beginning is really helpful. I feel like if you could not make it to like the middle, even by like the end of 1 or 2 days, then chances are you're not going to fund. Yeah, so unfortunately, you know, sad about that because it looks super cool. But, you know, I posted a comment in the comment section. So if this one fails, the designer and publisher has other plans to hopefully try to get it produced, and I hope that she will, because I'm very interested in this game. A new game that I am backing actually is so The Old King's Crown, A Tale of Royalty, Rebels, and Ruses. So that is £85. It's got already 3,322 backers at the time I'm shooting this video, which is on a Sunday afternoon. It's raised over $279,000 and it has 24 days to go. You know, I feel like it's a game that I would really enjoy, which is why I'm backing it, but at the same time, I'm also feeling a little bit Kickstarter fatigued right now, even as I'm just thinking about it. I'm feeling a little bit fatigued from backing games on Kickstarter, just thinking about how I have so many games and should I be backing it? I don't know. But, you know, it's got amazing reviews. It looks really good. So right now I'm backing it, and I'll probably keep my pledge because I was also talking to a friend of mine about this game, Michael, and based on the feedback he gave me, it kind of convinced me to keep my pledge, because if I don't keep it, then chances are in retail it will cost more. And again, it's gotten really positive reviews, and it's like a midweight kind of game, and it seems like a game that I would really love. So for now, I'm keeping it. And then the other games I am backing are the Obsession expansion, of course, and the Metal Coins. So still backing that, and then Cascadero and Cascadito, still backing those. So yeah, so God, I feel like this month is just gonna kill me, November. Like, just, yeah, really bad. Just too much money being spent. So and there's still going to be games coming out that I will probably want. Yeah, so expensive month, and like around the holidays too, when people have money to spend on gifts for Christmas and stuff like that. Like, it's not like I'm buying people Christmas gifts, like not a lot. Even though I do celebrate Christmas in more of like a secular kind of way, just because I really love Christmas season and the whole like festive period. I really love it. But my entire family, we all have our birthdays in November and December. So it's a rough month financially for that reason as well. And then of course with PAX Unplugged coming up. So yeah. So those are the games that I am backing. So now let me show you a recent arrival, which I am super duper excited about. So, and I'm actually going to play this on Halloween, and the sweater I'm wearing kind of fits the theme of the game. So that is Septima, or is it Septima or Septima? I don't know. So this is a Mind Clash game designed by Robin Hegidus, and it's illustrated by Vilo Farkas. So I've already punched everything out. So I have the deluxe edition, and I should mention that this is a review copy. So I backed it at like £1 or whatever it was, and then they comped the pledge manager for a copy of this game, which was very kind of them, because, you know, I've played their games before and I told them how much I would love to cover this for my channel. So this is a review copy. So I already unboxed everything, and so you've got these nice game trays, and let me just show you, everything fits really nicely into the box. And I'm really excited about this because I really love Trickerion. Trickerion is probably the other game of theirs that I really love. I've played Anachrony. It was okay. Like, you know, I thought it was good, but it's not a game that I feel the need to add into my own collection. But the themes of Trickerion and this game I love. And then this is is described as more of a medium weight game and more accessible than Trickerion. So I hope that's true, because I'm planning on playing a 3 or 4 player game of this on Tuesday. So we shall see. So, and then you have this insert thing with all the components for the different players. So those are the different player pieces and colors. So of course, I'm really happy that the purple includes a cat and an owl. So like, absolutely love the animals that are part of the expansion for the purple color, because like those are the animals I would want to play with anyway. Otherwise, I do like the animals for the white and the orange colors. For the green, not so much. The green has a fox and a snake. So not a fan, a frog and a snake. I like frogs. I think frogs are cute, but I do not like snakes. The orange has a fox and a squirrel. So those are cute. I like the orange ones. Yeah, these are cute. Cute animals. And then the white ones I like as well. The white one has a goat and a rabbit. So I would play with any of the colors except for green in this case. But purple obviously is going to be my favorite, because purple is my color, and then the animals in the purple one are my favorite too. And then this one has a bunch of different components in it that you will be using. And then this one has the money. I did not get the upgraded metal coins, but you know what? I might buy them later, but also the metal coins from Merchants of the Dark Road, which I still haven't played, by the way, I feel like would fit the theme of this game as well. So I have the metal coins for Merchants of the Dark Road, so I'm actually planning on pulling those out on Tuesday and using those when I play Septima, because they are really gorgeous coins and I feel like they fit the theme of this game. Like the ones in the Merchants of the Dark Road have a little dragonfly on them, and then there's one that has like a candle on them or something like that. So I really feel like that they would fit the theme of this game. There is a bag with some meeples in them, just some red meeples. What else? Let's see. Okay, then you get to the board, which is stunning, by the way. So here is the main board, which is really, really gorgeous. Absolutely love it. So here's one side. I don't know if both sides are the same, but oh my God, that is so freaking beautiful. I absolutely love it. And then there's another board, which I guess has some cards on it and maybe some like tracks for you to advance on. And then an individual player board looks like this. So you will be brewing potions, I believe. And then, so that is an individual player board. Then you have this potions board. So this, I think, is just meant to stay on top of this. So like this was like, I like the back of it actually a lot. But this, I think you're just supposed to punch out and then just keep like this. And I think that you actually just have this out like this during when you're playing the game and actually selecting which potions you want to brew. And then we've got a score pad, and then we have these player aid sheets, which are really nice. Unfortunately, I do not have sleeves for those, but I did sleeve everything else. But let me just show you some of these. So these animals match with the various animals of the different colors. So that is for the expansion. If you decide to play with the expansion and play with the animals, then each player will get their animal thingies. And then otherwise, I believe you just have a bunch of different witches. There's a lot of these, so I won't show you all of them, but I really, do like the artwork. I think it's pretty cool. Here are some cards. So I wonder if these are in the different, no, these are not in the player colors, are they? I don't think so. I don't think these are in the player colors. So like you have some red ones, green ones, and light blue ones. So these are just some smaller cards. And I do not know what these do yet, but the backs have scrolls on them. And then we have some other cards. Let's see what these are. So we've got some cards that say prologue on them, just with different symbols. And then these ones say negotiation. So these are negotiation cards. And then there is a solo mode to this game. So let me just show you some of these solo mode cards. So these go with the solo mode, which is called the Black Witch or something like that. So this is not a game that I would personally play solo because I don't play games that require a lot of setup solo. Here are some Omen cards. And they can be either way, I believe. So yeah. So I actually bought the Paladin sleeves. I don't remember the name of the Paladins, but I really like them. They feel really nice. I really like these Paladin sleeves. Here are some cards which say Book of Divinations on the back. And then each player is going to have a set of cards to go, that they'll have. So this is what a player's hand will look like. So all the players are going to have the same cards in their hand. And I'm guessing you'll just play cards on your turn in a round. So that is what the inside looks like. It's just a really great insert. So let me just show you. So everything just fits really nicely in the insert, and the sleeved cards too. Of course, they're just sliding down right now, but it is really nice. Super nice insert. So highly definitely approve of this. So I'm super excited to play this. Really looking forward to playing this on Halloween. So I just need to read the rule book so that I am prepared. So that arrived. So let me just try to put this back. That's the only game that actually arrived recently. I don't have any other arrivals. One game did appear at my business box, but I just haven't had a chance to pick it up yet, so I will do that later. But I just wanted to show you a book that I bought recently, just because it kind of goes with the Halloween theme. So I was at Barnes & Noble last night browsing, which is something I do all the freaking time, and I buy too many books that I then have on my long to read list. And I came across this book last night called Never Whistle at Night. So it is an anthology of horror stories from different indigenous cultures, which sounds so freaking cool. It says an indigenous dark fiction anthology, and the reviews for it were so freaking good. So I'm super excited to read some of the stories in this. I absolutely love anthologies, and honestly, I wish we had more series, like television series that were anthologies, like Black Mirror. I just feel like we do not have enough anthologies, because it's just nice sometimes.
Could you try again?
Siri. So I just think more anthologies would be nice because, sometimes you just don't want to commit days and days and days, because I'm a binge watcher, to watching a certain series. So if you could just get an anthology series that is super good, like Black Mirror, although some episodes really were not that great, and just watch episodes when you feel like it, would absolutely love that. I really wish more anthologies existed. So when I saw a book of horror stories based on indigenous cultures, written by a bunch of different authors, and the cover is so freaking cool and it had such good reviews, absolutely had to get it. So I'm planning on reading a bunch of those before Halloween. So super excited about that. So now let's move on. Okay, let's talk about updates. So, of course, the first update is going to be about FlagCon, which is next weekend. So, there will be no new weekly playback video next Monday because I will be at FlagCon all weekend long. So, FlagCon is from Friday, November, I believe it's 2nd. Is it November 2nd? Let me just bring up a calendar. Yes, Friday, November 3rd. Sorry, Friday, November 3rd, Saturday, November 4th, and then Sunday, November 5th, in which daylight savings time ends, it looks like. So FlagCon is a 3-day convention being held in Ithaca, New York, which I helped to organize. Unfortunately, I did drop the ball on a couple of things. I was planning on reaching out to publishers to request copies of games to be added to the library, and I did not do that, which I feel bad about. I just kept on saying, I'm going to do it, and I'm like the world's worst procrastinator. But I did donate a number of games to the library, and I still have more to donate. So I should actually reach out to the head organizer and tell him which games I'm planning on donating so we can add that to the library list as well. So I donated a number of games, but unfortunately I dropped the ball on reaching out to publishers, but we hope that this will be the first of many conventions in Ithaca. So hopefully for next year, and then hopefully we can also prove that, we have a good convention going and publishers will want to actually participate even more in some way in the future. So I will hopefully not drop the ball in the future. It's just, one of those things where I kept on saying I would do it and then things would come up and I was just so busy. And life has just been really busy, especially since I got back from the pandemic. Especially since I got back from the convention. I don't know why I said pandemic, especially since I got back from the convention in Germany. Like my life was just so busy because I was cat sitting for my sister and going to her house twice a day, and then I'm taking care of 2 cat colonies, and I was just so exhausted. They just came back from their overseas trip, my sister and her husband and my mom, like they all went on an overseas trip, so they came back, and so life is starting to get back to normal. But I'm still still busy with work and taking care of 2 cat colonies. But yeah, I know I dropped the ball. So hopefully next year I will not drop the ball. But I still did other work for organizing this convention and of course donating games. So again, buy tickets if you are interested in coming. I think that I actually missed the last meeting as well, so and I'll talk about why I missed it, but I was attending a protest for Palestine, so I missed our last organizational meeting, which was yesterday. But I think you might be able to buy tickets at the door, but I'm not 100% sure on that, so do not take my word for it. So if you want to come to FlagCon and you haven't purchased tickets yet, highly recommend you do that ASAP from the website. And from what I could tell from the last update, there are only a couple tickets left for the various days available. Due to capacity issues, of course, because it's being held in a hotel, and of course each venue is going to have certain limits on how many people can be inside at a time. So super excited for FlagCon. So definitely do check that out if you haven't already, if you live in upstate New York and think that you would be interested in coming. So another update, the cats. So I would like to show a picture of the 3 shelters that I recently assembled. And I did that by myself. It was really hard because my friend who helped me assemble a previous shelter that I had purchased for cat colony number 1 was out of town, and Friday the weather was really nice, so I was like, this is the perfect day to assemble these shelters and get them placed out before it starts getting cold again. Like the weather was freakishly warm on Friday. Like it was like 8 degrees or something. So I assembled these shelters by myself, which was so freaking difficult. Like you definitely need 2 people to assemble these shelters, and I did not do a very great job with putting on the roof, and some of the wood even cracked a little bit, but it's functional. It will serve its purpose. So I placed the shelters out for the cats and filled them up with straw. So again, just a reminder, if you are someone who wants to create shelters for animals for the winter time, never use blankets, never use hay or anything like that, because those will retain moisture, they will freeze, and animals can freeze to them and die. So always use straw, because straw does not retain moisture. So remember straw for strays. That is the phrase you want to remember if you are building shelters to try to keep animals warm during the winter months. So again, if you are feeling generous and are able to make donations, I will absolutely accept donations to buy more shelters and construct them for the cats, because both colonies have over 20 cats and can use a lot more shelters as well. So always accepting donations for the kitties if you are feeling generous. And as you can see, the money is going to where I'm saying it's going. So it's not like I'm taking money and then spending it on myself. No. I've provided proof of, the purchases I've made on my Twitter account. Of course, I know not everyone follows me on Twitter, but so I purchased these shelters from Amazon, and these ones were about, I think, $70 or $80 a piece, if I remember correctly. And of course, there's an ongoing expense for food, and now I'm feeding 2 colonies of cats, so that's a lot more food that needs to be purchased. So always accepting donations for the kitties if you are feeling generous. So I think that those are the updates that I have. So let's move on to talking about current events again. So let's talk about current events. I actually shot a whole segment about the whole conflict happening in Israel and Palestine, and then I decided that, I need to shoot it again because I just rambled on a lot, and so I want to try to be more concise and not ramble on as much. So I'm going to try to do this again, but if I look really exhausted, that's why, because I spent like literally half an hour talking about it and then decided I want to try to be more concise. So first I want to begin this video by saying that I attended a protest for Palestine yesterday in the city of Rochester, New York. The protest was to call for a ceasefire. Over 8,000 innocent Palestinians have been killed. Over 3,000 children have been killed. They had all their communications and internet cut off, so that Israel could kill them, and they continue to kill them and commit horrible atrocities on these people, and that they would not be able to report it, because there are people who live in Palestine who have been reporting about what is happening on Instagram and other outlets, but then Israel cut off all communication so that that could no longer happen. It imposed a full blackout on Palestine so that they could no longer reach loved ones and show the world what was happening. If entity Israel has been killing people indiscriminately, which it has been doing since October 7th, killing civilians, targeting civilians intentionally, imposes a blackout, that is not a good sign. That means things are getting much, much worse, and it is going to inflict even more terror than it had been doing. And that is exactly what happened during the blackout. And the numbers reported about the Palestinian deaths, which absolutely are true, because stupid Joe Biden, who said that, he doesn't believe that the numbers are true. The names of all the dead have been reported. Like, you can see all of the 3,000 children who have been killed, all the non-children, the adults or, who have been killed, all 8,000 people. And those are only the official deaths. There are unofficial deaths. There are deaths that have not been reported yet. There are people trapped under rubble who have been killed. So the numbers are likely very much, much higher. So I went into a protest yesterday to, protest in support of a ceasefire, to protest in support of a free Palestine. And then I posted about that on Instagram, on my main page. I've been posting stories all along. I've been posting stories of voices that I believe people should be listening to and hearing the truth from these voices. But for the first time, I posted on my main Instagram page, and I've lost over 100 followers since. So it's great to know that there are over 100 people who support a genocide against the Palestinians. Like, disgusting. Like, you are unfollowing me because I'm telling you about a genocide that is happening, and like literally my post was not inflammatory in any way. It was literally asking people to recognize that there is a genocide happening and to not stay silent, to use your voices, to reach out to your representatives, to educate your friends and family about what is happening if they are misinformed, because so many people are misinformed by Zionist propaganda, by AI images which have been created by Israel to show that, to show things which are not true. So there's lots of AI images that have been used by Israel that Israel has been called out on. And to this day, Israel has not provided proof that there were babies beheaded by Hamas. In fact, news outlets like BBC even stated that they never saw proof when they reported that. But you know what you can find proof of? You can find proof of lots of Palestinian kids who've had their heads blown off. I've literally seen video footage of Palestinian babies without heads because they were blown off by the Israelis. By Israel. I don't understand why people are trying to justify a genocide. What Hamas did was wrong, but that is no justification for committing a genocide against Palestine. And it is a genocide. It qualifies as a genocide when you look at the definition and the stages of genocide. And intent is very important, and Israel made its intent very clear. And I'm going to link videos from Abby Martin. So she is someone who talks about the lie that has been propagated for many, many years now, that Hamas hides among its civilians. This is a lie, and it is a lie that is used to justify the genocide of Palestinians. So I implore you to watch the videos I have linked from Abby Martin, which discusses this lie and which people like Quackalope continue to propagate. So now I just want to call out some people in the industry, because people in this industry are spreading Zionist propaganda and spreading Islamophobia and hate speech. So first, let me just, call out Eric Lang. So Eric Lang, of course, we know is now it's very clear, I think, to everyone that he is a sellout. So Eric Lang, who has previously used his platform to speak about Black Lives Matter very loudly and proudly, who has used his platform to talk about Ukraine, is now dead silent on Palestine. And his most recent post from 5 days ago says, "De-radicalization exercise. It's useful to remember that for the last 3-ish years, our primary social contacts were filtered through online channels optimized for conflict. We've been yelling at each other online in the most fearful, uncertain time this generation. We've been exposed to a dehumanizing level of scrutiny and feedback of every word we say, have had stated positions magnified into enemy ideologies, and held to impossible standards in impossible environments. Social media is simultaneously liberating and incarcerating. Please remember to touch grass and hug your friends." The most hypocritical shit I have ever seen posted. Unbelievable. Like, this person has severe cognitive dissonance. Eric Lang, who has literally used his platform and held people to impossible standards for Black Lives Matter and other issues in this industry, for sexual scandals in the industry, cases of sex, of people using their positions for sex and other things in this industry. He's held people to these supposed impossible standards before, but now it's an impossible standard to condemn a genocide? What kind of fucking bullshit is this? Eric Lang has proven himself to be a sellout. He does not want to speak against a genocide because he does not want to upset his Zionist friends who are finding ways to, justify the genocide that is happening of the Palestinians right now. This is the most unbelievable hypocritical bullshit I have ever seen from someone. Like, seriously unreal. Like, and he's giving talking points to all the people. So the next time that, don't want to, jump on the bandwagons for things that Eric Lang cares about. So the next time, Black Lives Matter becomes a huge issue in America and Eric Lang, is posting about it left and right, to all the people who want to say all lives matter, Eric Lang has given you all the talking points you need, in me calling him out. So, previously he already said, that I was dunking on him for, clout, he's already given all the talking points. What else did he say previously? I don't even remember. Let's see if I can find it. I wonder if he deleted it. Well, I have screenshots, so I'll post the screenshots later. Oh, yeah. So here we go. He said that, "I understand many of us are afraid to voice an opinion because the crisis there is so nuanced and hard to understand. We are afraid of saying the wrong thing." So just remember all of these points. So all the people who want to say all lives matter instead of Black Lives Matter, Eric Lang has given you all of the talking points you need to get out of saying Black Lives Matter. So the next time there's a huge, uproar over something and all these people from the supposed far left are posting about it left and right, and you, for whatever reason, don't want to post about it, Eric Lang has given you all of the talking points you need. Yeah, and he's shown us what a sellout he is, so good for him for proving to the world what he is. Yeah, because someone with as large a platform as Eric has, I mean, just on Facebook alone, he's followed by almost 4,000 people. And then, of course, his platforms on Twitter and elsewhere are much larger, which is why he's used them for Black Lives Matter and for Ukraine and for, you know, the various sex scandals that have happened in the board games industry, for the Me Too movement. So he's used his platform because, you know, he supposedly cares about all those issues, but about Palestine does not give a shit about the genocide that is happening, and has given all Lives Matter people all the talking points they need to get out of Black Lives Matter in the future. So yeah, so good for him for providing people with all those talking points. Before people say that I am against Black Lives Matter, actually, no, I'm not. So I'm someone who actually always puts actions to her words, whether that is in her career, because it's important to me to have a career which allows me to sleep easily at night. It is important to me to be able to sleep with a clear conscience, which is why I do social justice work for a living, which is why I'm a legal aid attorney, which is why I did all of my internships when I was in law school in public interest work. So when, you know, Black Lives Matter was a huge thing, I do not feel the need to prove myself to anyone because I know who I am, but I will provide proof of, you know, supporting Black Lives Matter. So I always want to put actions to my words, whether that is through my career or through things that I do on my own, whether that's attending protests, whether that's writing letters, doing whatever. Like, I've done a lot of work for the various issues that I am invested in. So when it came to Black Lives Matter, I had actually applied for 2 attorney positions for this organization, this nonprofit that was being started in the city of Rochester, New York. So Rochester, New York was, you know, one of the main locations for the Black Lives Matter movement, because there was a Black man who was killed by a police officer in Rochester. And so in response to that, the city funded a nonprofit called the Police Accountability Board, and I had applied for 2 attorneys positions there. So I interviewed for 2 positions in this office. So I will just post some proof for that, because I know people will doubt me. People always love to doubt me, even though, like, everything is so clear. Like, what I do is just so clear and I have nothing to hide. So I applied for 2 attorney positions, but it became very evident during the interviews that work-life balance does not mean anything to them, that I would have no work-life balance, which is why in the end I did not pursue the position further. Like, usually when I interview for positions, I always send a follow-up thank you letter, but these positions I actually did not even do that, because the interviews made it very clear to me that they did not care about the mental health of the attorneys. And, you know, so it just became super evident during the interviews. And thank God, because it turned out to be a total shit show. So, like, if you just Google Police Accountability Board in Rochester, New York, you will find out what a shit show the Police Accountability Board turned out to be. So their mission was to, of course, investigate incidents of police brutality against Black individuals and other, you know, colored people, and to formulate policy that could be followed by the police, and to just try to foster a better relationship between the Black community and the police. But the whole Police Accountability Board just turned out to be a complete shit show and just was, you know, just not functional. So in the end, I'm glad that I did not pursue an attorney position in this board. But all that is to say that, you know, I wanted to because I believed in the cause. So Black Lives Matter do matter to me, but now I am seeing from people like Eric Lang that Palestinian lives do not matter. Palestinian lives are meaningless to people like Eric Lang, who are complete sellouts and do not want to raise their voices against a genocide, do not want to raise their voices condemning a genocide because they don't want to upset their Zionist publisher and designer friends. It's absolutely disgusting, and I'm glad that Eric has shown the world who he really is now, and I hope that the board gaming world, remembers this in the future. So just remember this when you purchase your games. For those who want to put their money where their beliefs are, for those who want to boycott games from people who don't share the same values as you, if that is important to you, then I hope you will remember this. And I hope you will remember that Eric Lang is not who he claims to be, is not the person who cares about all human rights, and is in fact a big sellout. So yeah. And moving from Eric Lang, let's talk about Quackalope, who was spouting a lot of Islamophobic garbage and Zionist propaganda on his YouTube video titled "I Am a Jew" in the comments. So I just want to read some of his comments, which are completely propagandist, Zionist, and Islamophobic bullshit, and point them out for everyone. So one of the first comments, I'll start from the bottom. So someone said, Google apartheid, someone has to talk about peace. Open air prisons are not peace. 100% agree. He says, talk to Egypt. They share a border as well. Why is it Israel's problem when they close the door to terrorists? So when they close the door to terrorists, he is defining all Palestinians as terrorists. Islamophobic bullshit, Zionist propaganda. Again, please watch the Abby Martin videos I have linked below. And it is Israel's problem because Israel is the occupier. Israel is the one who killed people, who's killed thousands upon thousands upon thousands of Palestinians, who's kicked people out of their homes, who has made it impossible for them to live, who's made sure that they don't have electricity, don't have water, don't have medicine, don't have food. And this is all stuff that's been going on for years, by the way, but more recently, since October 7th, it has bombed multiple hospitals, multiple schools, multiple bakeries. It's bombed everything in Gaza out of existence. So here is another comment of his. Why make it political? Because people I love are going to war and many will die. Because the voice of anti-Semitism is louder than it has been in 70 years. Because saying something for me helps in some small way. Again, painting this as a Jew versus them issue. This is not a Jewish versus Muslim issue. It's not a Jewish versus them issue. It is not an anti-Semitism issue. This is anti-Zionism. Anti-Zionism is not the same as anti-Semitism, and trying to paint it that way is Zionist propaganda. Just like Israel is trying to shut down all the Jews who are part of Jewish Voices for Peace, and by the thousands and thousands have been protesting against Israel's apartheid regime, have been protesting against the genocide that Israel is committing. Israel is trying to delegitimize all of these Jewish voices and trying to say that they are not true Jews. Why? Because it's afraid. It's afraid of the truth getting out there. And Israel's Zionist propaganda machine is, for the first time, it seems like is starting to fail. Like, they've been putting out these AI images, which are just complete bullshit, along with all of their other Zionist propaganda, trying to get people to stand with Israel. Only oppressors need people to stand with them. It's the oppressed who, have people by the millions behind them without needing to resort to AI images and propaganda bullshit. Another bullshit comment of Quackalope's. I understand the feeling. War in any form is horrible. Death is tragic, and I hope for an end to the conflict. However, only one side in this conflict values life, protects civilians, and wants peace. Absolute fucking bullshit. Another instance of him spreading Islamophobia and Zionist propaganda. No, the Palestinians value life. They protect their civilians and they want peace. Again, this propagandist bullshit that Hamas is hiding amongst the civilians is false, and no proof has ever been provided of this. If Israel has the world's best intelligence, why does it fucking need to bomb down entire hospitals and schools and bakeries? If you know who Hamas is and where they're hiding, then go and get the freaking Hamas people. Don't bomb the entire schools. When an active shooter goes into a school in America, do we bomb the entire school with all of the children inside and say, oops, we just wanted to kill the active shooter, like, sorry, collateral damage? No, we don't fucking do that because we don't want to kill the innocent kids. So Israel, who's claiming that Hamas is hiding in these schools and these bakeries and these churches and these mosques and these hospitals, and bombs all of them into oblivion, and then says, oh, collateral damage? No, fuck you, Israel. Like, you know what you're doing. You know the genocide that you're committing. And idiots like Quackalope are spreading this propaganda and spreading this Islamophobia. It's disgusting. Yeah, and another comment of his, which is just what we just talked about. Hamas openly hides within and places civilians around them. If Israel wanted to kill civilians, it would have easily accomplished that. It's already fucking doing that. Are you that fucking stupid? Israel is doing its best to protect and remove civilians from the area. No, it's fucking not. So Israel, again, cut off all communications, cut off all the internet, caused an entire blackout to happen in Palestine so that they could no longer report of all the atrocities happening. And then it issued a warning on the internet, on Twitter, in English, telling people to escape. Who exactly was that video aimed at? It's fucking propaganda. It's aimed at English-speaking people to give them a clear conscience. See, we tell them to escape. We give them warning. No, you fucking don't give them warning. And when you do give them warning, you bomb them as they're escaping. Israel has bombed Palestinians as they are escaping. But again, we have all the proof we need of Israel committing a genocide and bombing and Palestinian civilians into oblivion. I've seen actual footage of Palestinian babies with their heads blown off. Where is the footage of the Israeli babies with their heads cut off by Hamas? Does not exist. We know it doesn't exist. Again, Zionist propaganda. That is not to say what Hamas did was right. What Hamas did was not right. It was not justified. But, again, you are spreading lies and you are using lies to justify a genocide. It's disgusting. So yeah, I'm sure he has a lot more stupid comments, bullshit Islamophobic and Zionist propaganda comments, but I think that that's all I will go into for right now. So yeah, so I've lost over 100 followers on Instagram since posting my photo of me at the protest yesterday, and the numbers are still dropping, but that's fine. I don't need people who will justify a genocide following me, because that is disgusting. You do not value human life. You view Arabs as less than human. That is disgusting. You are the same kind of people who supported apartheid in South Africa. You are the same kind of people who supported the Holocaust. You are basically Nazis. If you are justifying a genocide against the Palestinians, you are no different than the Nazis that you claim to be against. It's disgusting. Basically, Quackalope is behaving like a Nazi, spreading this Nazi propaganda, spreading propaganda against the Palestinians, claiming that they are less than human, basically saying that they're all terrorists, that, this genocide of the Palestinians is justified. No different than a Nazi was during the Holocaust. It's the same exact fucking thing. And I'm just so tired. I'm like, why cannot people see this? Why cannot people see what is happening? And this board gaming industry is very Zionist leaning. I get that. But thankfully, by the millions, people are going out and marching for Palestinians. People want to see a free Palestine. But more importantly than that, right now we need a ceasefire. Right now we need the killings to stop. Right now, over 8,000 Palestinians have been killed. That includes 3,000 children. We need the killing to stop. So go out and march. Ask your representatives for a ceasefire. They are sending billions of dollars in aid to Israel every year. They are actively voicing they're actively saying that they do not want a ceasefire. And why don't they want a ceasefire? Because they want Israel to bomb Gaza into oblivion so that Israel can then easily build buildings for Israelis and take over. I'm going to post a screenshot of an article here which shows, why they want to do this. It's pretty clear. It's always been clear that Israel does not value human life. Israel does not give a shit about even their own hostages. If it did, it would not be committing a genocide against the Palestinians. Israel had advance warning about the attacks since October 7th, and it did not do shit about it, because allowing their civilians to be killed by Hamas and to be kidnapped and taken hostage would give them the right to then go into Palestine, commit a genocide with impunity. And that is exactly what they have been doing. It's just so exhausting, and I'm so sick of this board gaming community, to see hypocrites like Eric Lang, to see people spreading Islamophobic bullshit like Quackalope, to see people on Instagram spreading Zionist propaganda and Islamophobic bullshit. I'm not going to name the creator on Instagram, but I've seen him post some of the most insane things. Like, yeah, he lives in Israel, and he posted just very recently, so we're into 3 weeks of this genocide now, and he posted, "Oh, I just can't sleep. I just can't sleep because of what happened on October 7th. You know who can't sleep? The Palestinians cannot sleep. The people who are actually a victim of an ongoing genocide right now. Stop justifying the genocide. Like, no, none of these people have actually spoken up and said what is happening to the Palestinians is wrong. They just keep on propagating their Zionist propaganda, trying to make everyone feel sorry for Israel and ignoring the genocide that is happening. It's disgusting. It is just so, so shameful. It's just really, really disgusting. And the amount of people in this industry that support it, it's just, yeah, it's gross. It's really, really gross. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about that. I'm just tired. But, you know, more than almost 200 people, last I checked, liked my post about my protesting. So I appreciate that. That means there are 200 people who acknowledge that there is a genocide happening, 200 people in this board gaming community who know the truth. And I will continue to post stories on Instagram, you know, so that you can hear voices from actual Palestinians. You can hear voices of people who talk about this issue way more eloquently than I do. That includes a Jewish author who is speaking up against the genocide. That includes a trans woman who is speaking up against the genocide, who lives in New York City. You know, I've been amplifying their voices because I think that they speak about these issues very eloquently, and I appreciate them using their very large platforms to talk about these issues. So this trans woman, James is smiling. I've been linking videos because James has been linking to content creators who are also talking very, you know, who are very educated and can give firsthand accounts about what is happening. And then that Jewish author who has been speaking about what it means to be a Jew who is fighting against anti-Zionism and who recognizes the genocide that is happening. And she's also been amplifying voices. Like, I appreciate their voices so much. I appreciate people who are, you know, in a position to lose a lot. Like, these are people with much bigger platforms than I have. I have only like 5,000 followers on Instagram, you know, but these are people who have a lot more to lose but are using their platforms for truth and justice, and I truly appreciate it. And I appreciate all those who are sticking by my side while I am losing followers for, you know, showing the truth and trying to get the world to acknowledge what is happening. And yeah, and I will continue to always put actions to my words because I always do. I've had people, like someone on Facebook recently started harassing me and claiming that I'm just spewing garbage, yet would not post his counterfacts, just kept on telling me that I'm misinformed, but would not show me proof of how I'm misinformed, and then got angry when I unfriended him, and then said he threatened to expose me as a Hamas supporter, which I absolutely am not. I already condemned Hamas's attacks. And then he got really pissed off, you know, at me and just started saying bullshit. Oh, and he also told me to go fight for Palestine. Number one, Palestine is not allowed to have an army. And so if you want me to go fight for Palestine, who do you want me to fight for? Do you want me to fight for Hamas, the terrorist organization, who I already condemned? And then you claimed I was condoning that I approved of what Hamas did. So who am I supposed to go fight for? Like, this idiot is telling me to go and fight in Palestine rather than just post stuff. Like, I'm doing everything I can. I've written letters to representatives. I've marched in one protest, and I will continue to march in other protests. What else can I do except use my voice and use my platform to raise awareness? I've donated money to the Palestinians. I'm doing everything I can because I always, always, always put actions to my words, whether that comes to Palestine, whether that comes to animal rights, you know, whatever it is. Whenever there is an issue I care about, I always, always, always put actions to my words. How many people on the far left can say that they do the same, that are staying utterly silent about the genocide happening right now? I am so sick of performative activism in this community, and I hope everyone will remember all these performative activists like Eric Lang and others who claim to be about human rights and are now staying dead silent. You know, they've all outed themselves for, you know, being the sellouts that they are, and I hope that the community remembers this. You know, please remember this, and, you know, keep in mind where your money is going and who your money is supporting. You know, people know I, you know, actually love a lot of Starbucks drinks. I've been boycotting Starbucks. I've been boycotting the, you know, the retailers and the organizations who are supporting the ongoing genocide of Palestinians. So put your money where your mouth is, put your actions where your mouth is. I always do. I always try to walk the walk instead of just talking the talk. And I think people need to do the same. In today's world, you need to do that. I'm going to just, again, link videos below that I hope people will watch, because I know I tend to ramble on a lot. So I hope that people will watch the videos I link and continue to educate themselves and continue to be aware about the genocide that is happening, and continue to do what they can to support the Palestinians people, to support the Palestinian people's right to freedom, for their right to live. And right now, their right to live is the most important. Oh, and let's just talk about their right to live right now. Like, they literally don't have bathrooms to use. What happens when you are bombing people out of existence and also making it so that they don't have medicine and bathrooms to use? You are making sure that they also die from diseases. And a lot of people in the Holocaust died from diseases, and a lot of people in Palestine are going to die from diseases as well. Israel has, for many years been cutting off their electricity, their water, their food. It's now bombed their bakeries, it's bombed their hospitals, it's made it so that they don't have bathrooms to use. Disease is going to be rampant. So I, implore you to open your eyes to the truth and stop being convinced by Zionist propaganda. It's disgusting. But most of the world is no longer convinced. That's why we see marches by the millions now, which is amazing. 500,000 people attended a march in London, a protest for Palestine. Just amazing. And at these marches, people are not calling for death to Jews. They are not calling for death to Israelis. They are calling for a free Palestine. It is not the same. It is not the same. When you say free Palestine, it is not calling for a death to for Jews. It is not calling for a death of all Israelis. Those are not equivalent, and they are not the same. And stop believing in Zionist propaganda that is telling you it's the same. Stop listening to people like Quackalope, who are spewing hate rhetoric, who are spewing Islamophobia, and who are spewing Zionist propaganda. I have to say that Quackalope has proven himself to be one of the most brainless people I have ever seen. And again, I cannot believe that I was ever friends with him. Disgusting. So I hope people, listen to those who are telling the truth and find news sources to expose yourself to the truth, even if it may scare you, because it is scary. I know it's scary. Okay, I'm done rambling. I'm tired. I need to go. All right, thanks. Since Halloween is just around the corner, the question of the week is, what games do you plan on playing on Halloween, if you are planning on playing any games on Halloween, that is. So for me, I am hoping to play Septima, of course, and I hope I will get to play the Bloody Inn, because I absolutely love the Bloody Inn, and the artwork is done by Weberson Santiago, and I just feel like it fits the theme of Halloween really well. And I have a couple of other games, like I think one of the games from R2I, Road to Infamy games, which I believe was called Don't Go in there. Maybe I'll pull that out for Halloween as well. So let me know what games you're playing this Halloween, and until 2 weeks from now, because next week is FlagCon, so I won't be here next week, but you will see me in 2 weeks, and until then, bye!